This is the lovely Tim Young, everyone, and you can't see anyone, Tim, can you?
No, I can see half of you.
Yeah, we'll turn the laptop around so you can have a vague idea of who's sitting in the room. Can you see that?
Hi, everyone.
I'll let you introduce yourself, but Tim, Vale's really, really privileged to have Tim working with us part-time in a number of research roles, but he is going to talk about his project that he's doing not for Vale today. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, I'm talking about a couple of projects I'm not doing with Vale.
Okay. Go for it.
Hopefully the chainsaw next door isn't too loud. Kia ora tātou, ko Taranaki te maunga, ko Maunganui te awa, ko Ratapiko te roto, ko Ngāti Mahuta te mana whenua, ko Young me Chisholm aku hapu, ko Ngāti Pakeha toku iwi, e so hey everyone, I'm Tim Young. Thanks for letting me. It's my internet. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, you did go out for a bit, Tim, but
okay, cool. Sorry, that happened once or twice during the previous presentation, but yeah, I'll stop if it comes up. So thanks for letting me come here today to talk to you about some of my projects. Today I'll give you a bit about my background, our new work placement program at the Disabled Persons Assembly, designed and led by disabled people, called Mahi Tika Equity and Employment. I'll talk a bit about my business, Smart Access, and a bit about the Magical Bridge playground we're working on. So even with my background in educational psychology, research and app development, I long struggled to find employment since my spinal cord injury, including not being able to get a job in my trained profession as an educational psychologist due to a lack of accessible workplaces. As a result, I started 2 businesses to gain experience in the work. Oh Jesus, sorry, I just need to open the door because my dog's like scratching at it. Working from home is fun.
In a few months he's going to have a baby as well. It's going to be even more fun.
Okay, sorry. So as a result, I started 2 businesses to gain experience in the workforce in my chosen industries, including Smart Access, which completes accessibility audits of infrastructure for local governments. And I'm a research assistant with Vale, where we've been focusing on researching vocational consultancy techniques. I'm passionate about equality of opportunity, and the projects I take on are based on different areas of society that I've struggled to gain equality of opportunity myself. I try to bring a new perspective and use technology to solve the accessibility issues I've had in my own experiences as a tetraplegic. I think providing everyone with equality of opportunity is critical to increase the nation's social well-being and economic well-being. By empowering people to self-direct their own life, you can remove feelings of alienation people with disabilities can have with their own body and life, which will in turn improve their mental health, self-esteem and confidence, and they will therefore be more likely to participate in the economy and in wider society. So a bit about me, as I think it gives some good context for what I'm doing. I grew up here in Hamilton. Be somewhere new and exciting, so I went to study and to party and to snowboard in Dunedin. After doing well at a large poker tournament, I was able to travel to Canada to live my dream of working on a mountain overseas, where I could get paid to snowboard every day. I had an awesome time working for 3 months at Fernie Ski Resort, and on my last day of snowboarding in Canada, a month before my 21st, I hit a jump wrong and I landed hard on the top of my shoulders, breaking my neck and leaving me paralyzed as a C5-6 tetraplegic. After my accident, I was transferred to Vancouver Hospital. Not long after, I was put on a ventilator and peg tube as I couldn't breathe, drink, eat, or talk. After 6 weeks, my mum and I then flew back to New Zealand on a private jet paid for by insurance with a doctor and nurse on board. When we arrived in New Zealand, I was transferred to Middlemore Hospital in Auckland, where I spent the next 3.5 months still lying on the ventilator to breathe. After lots of complications, the doctors decided to send me to Burwood Hospital to receive more specialist care. After only a week in Christchurch, Dr. Rick Acklin was able to get me off the ventilator so I could breathe myself. Over the next 5 months at Burwood, with lots of help from excellent physios, OTs, and many other staff, I learned to use a power wheelchair, then push a manual wheelchair, and feed myself, brush my own teeth, and then importantly, pursue my career and passions during my vocational rehabilitation. After spending 14 months in hospital within the first 2 years since my accident, I decided to get back to achieving life goals by going back to uni so I could become an educational psychologist. Since I can't write notes by hand or type on the computer very fast anymore, I had to learn new ways to learn. Luckily, ACC were able to provide me with voice recognition software, and with a family friend generously providing me with an iPad, I was able to communicate with others, and I could take notes in class independently. I think assistive technologies are underappreciated, and from my experience, they're underused. After completing a couple of papers to figure out the logistics of studying with my new normal, I started my Master of Science degree in 2012. Over the next 3 years, while completing my Master's, I started getting experience in educational technology. After that, while completing a postgraduate certificate in educational psychology, I realized I wouldn't be able to work as an educational psychologist in the traditional constructs of the role because of the lack of accessible schools and houses that I'd need to visit. I knew that I had a lot to offer as a disabled male educational psychologist with knowledge of assistive technologies, but there were no inclusive workplaces that would be flexible in order to utilize my skills. As a result, I started developing an educational video game called Rocket Island. After 3 years of work, Rocket Island was released on Steam for Windows and Mac, and on Google Play for Chromebook. I also did a TED Talk for TEDx Ruakura about the potential positive impact of educational technology. Last year, after realizing how much I had been held back in life by missing out on opportunities due to a lack of accessibility around the city and society, and how unnecessary most obstacles I face are, I decided to run for Hamilton City Council. I was able to raise a lot of issues which hadn't seen enough light and advance many problems such as a lack of fully accessible public toilets and playgrounds, and I was able to continue on from the work of other advocates by pointing out that accessibility is something that affects everyone at some stage of their life, whether it's from a sprained ankle, having a young family or pram, a life-changing accident, or being able to live to an old enough age where things don't work the way they used to. A lot of exciting opportunities have sprung from my council run, including being asked to use my experience as a disabled job seeker to lead the development of a work program for the Disabled Persons Assembly. It led me to start my new infrastructure business, Smart Access. Myself and others also co-founded the Magical Bridge Playground Working Group, and I started working as a research assistant for Bail, all straight after the campaign run. So since developing Mahi Tika, Equity and Employment, and including and securing funding for the Disabled Person Assembly, I've now started as a kaitiaki or enhancer to co-lead the implementation of the new employment program. The points of difference of our work program are that we're led and developed by disabled people. We're focusing on developing a self-sustaining community of disabled job seekers. We're helping to bridge the digital divide by assisting disabled job seekers with assistive technology, and we're proactively working with employers to develop inclusive workplaces. We have developed this program in partnership with members of local iwi to honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi. First, in the development of this kaupapa, we looked at existing frameworks in Māoridom and the objectives of central government's Working Matters Action Plan before developing our strategy to combat the lived experience of looking for work with a disability. We largely built our framework around Waikato Tainoe's Koe Ora strategy, while following the principles of kingitanga and enabling good lives. Our overall goal is to improve the well-being of whānau haua, the disabled community, recognizing that there are many interconnected aspects that make up overall well-being of an individual or community. We're building a community of people with different abilities in their employment journey to support one another. Participants will complete a number of workshops and one-on-one mentoring with kaitiaki before joining an online community where they can share resources and experiences with other disabled job seekers and mentors. Sorry, I'll just close this door. Is it quite loud for you guys with the chainsaw?
It's okay, it's fine.
Oh, it's okay, cool. By improving education, employment, and financial independence, while considering the interconnected relationship to mental health, physical health, and housing, we aim to improve the overall hauora of a person's well-being in alignment with Te Whare Tapawha. We will develop other kaitiaki to make sure we develop leaders in the future and lead disabled people into sustainable careers. This program has been led from whānau haua from the outset, ensuring community-centric governance is maintained. We are aligned with enabling good lives principles, including relationship building by developing communities of leaders and strong relationships with industry partners, by focusing on integration into the mainstream labour market. We will be mana enhancing by promoting and nurturing the strengths of the person and their whānau, and by being person-centred and encouraging self-determination. In line with Waikato Tainoe's Whakatupuranga 2050 strategy, we are adaptable and open to new ways of doing things as we progress with this kaupapa into the future. We want this program to be sustainable and the careers we develop to be sustainable, so we need to embrace change on our journey. Our kaupapa will help tautoko the following elements of whakatupuranga in particular: a diligence to succeed in education and beyond, and a self-determination for socio-economic independence. Along with whakatupuranga, our aim is to grow a prosperous, healthy, vibrant, innovative, and culturally strong iwi to enable self-determination from the top down. As part of Mahi Tika Equity and Employment, we are very interested in bridging the divide in digital and assistive technologies, considering their potential to allow many more people to participate in existing industries. We have seen through COVID the difference we can make to improve inclusivity in the workplace with video chat alone, and an inclusive and flexible attitude towards employment from employers. I've personally relied on assistive technology since I had my accident 11 years ago. In the past, I've relied on the on-screen keyboard or voice recognition software to type, and I use a trackball mouse, sticky keys, and a locked cursor every day. If it wasn't for assistive technologies and web accessibility, there's no way I would have achieved everything I have. Technology, including the internet and personal computers, have obviously transformed the world, the way we work, the way we shop, and the way we interact with each other. But these technologies have had a far greater impact on empowering disabled people to connect with the world on a personal and economic sense. These days, with everything you need to start a business available on the internet, I'm much less disadvantaged than other people with spinal injuries were in the past. But I still face lots of daily challenges compared to able-bodied entrepreneurs. I can't use public toilets because I need a special chair to sit on, and I don't get along well with stairs. So it's significantly easier for me to achieve my goals on the computer than in the physical world. While I'm lucky enough to have been provided with some great equipment by ACC to access the physical world, if my wheelchair or car is faulty, I immediately lose whatever independence I've gained hard to work on over the last decade. In a similar vein, by not being able to access assistive technology and web accessibility, people in need are at a significant disadvantage when it comes to participating in the economy, job market, and creative industries. If governments are not trying to actively bridge the digital divide with assistive technologies in education and employment, it's a breach of human rights as stated by the UN Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and it's excluding a significant proportion of the population from society. We need to keep in mind that with advances in technology, artificial intelligence and automation are now so powerful that every human that has access to these technologies can be orders of magnitude more productive than those without. Anyone without access because they are poor or disabled or both will find it very difficult to catch back up as they will get stuck in a negative economic feedback loop. Considering the overrepresentation of disabled people in statistics around poverty, mental well-being, and social mobility, disabled people are likely to be affected disproportionately by advances in computing if these advances are not accessible to disabled people. It's interesting that in the building code there are regulations around accessibility in buildings, but there are currently no compulsory regulations around web accessibility and assistive technology. So instead it's up to all of us to make sure people with disabilities are set up for success. With our work with Mahi Tika, Equity and Employment, and helping businesses become more familiar with assistive technologies in the workplace, I'm looking forward to helping people find employment that they can be excited about. Whenever I find a spare minute away from my work at Bail and DPA, I've been working on my business, Smart Access. Smart Access consults to central and local governments on accessibility issues and collects data on accessibility features and infrastructure. After months of community consultation, we developed a data collection tool that considers a wide range of impairments. To help better prioritize. Oh, is it? Did that go unstable?
Yeah.
Is that right again? Cool.
Yeah.
After months of community consultation, we developed a data collection. Oh yeah. Smart Access collects and sells data to local governments to help better prioritize infrastructure spending. A town or citywide accessibility audit gives councils the information they need to link transport routes to key amenities with universal design, so all of the public can access public facilities. Without this information, but most importantly, without even recognizing that this information is important to collect, councils cannot adequately take the consideration of the wide range of needs people have while using public transport and infrastructure. Unlike past audits that have only collected data on 4 accessibility issues and have not been easily accessible to the public, Smart Access is collecting very detailed data on 33 different variables, with all of the information easy and free for the public to access with the Smart Access application to only see accessibility features that affect their travel needs. I was recently awarded a $20,000 Good Stuff grant from TSB to develop the Smart Access application. For a city the size of Hamilton, we have collected over 30,000 points of interest in our first phase of the audit. Every pin or point of interest has GPS coordinates, photos, a timestamp, an estimated address, and further description when required. All of this data can be imported and shared in multiple formats. Smart Access is using the data formed a partnership with the Smart Cities Council of Australia and New Zealand, and is look.
You might have to go back a bit. We lost you for quite a while.
Oh
there.
no! Oh, that's all right. Did I talk about the 30,000 points of interest?
Yeah, you got that.
So I'm just going to turn off our video to lower some of this traffic.
Okay.
That might
Keep going.
Cool. So Smart Access has formed a partnership with the Smart Cities Council of Australia and New Zealand, and is looking to introduce this accessibility solution to as many councils around Australasia as possible. The other major project I've got myself involved in is the Magical Bridge Playground and advocating for more inclusive playground features in general. As a tetraplegic who is expecting my first child in February, I'm very passionate about bringing a Magical Bridge Playground to Hamilton ASAP, so I can spend time with my future kids as they play. After some research, we found the Magical Bridge Playground in Palo Alto, California, to be the gold standard in inclusive playground design, and it is recognized by the World Economic Forum as being that. We formed a memorandum of understanding with the organization and the states, and we've got into work. Working group, which has now raised 35,000 in seed funding. And we're almost established as a charitable trust. We're now working with Hamilton City Council and exploring sites to build this playground. So the main challenge I've found in improving accessibility is raising awareness. That's true for accessibility around cities, accessibility in employment, playground and housing development, and web accessibility. Most councils, DHBs, and government departments are not against including everyone when developing new infrastructure or websites. They largely just don't know what they don't know, and they don't have the resources or people to teach them. Similarly, but most businesses aren't against expanding their access to the job market, potentially increasing profit, or doing something inclusive because it's the right thing to do, but many aren't aware of the opportunity that disabled people provide. What's really cool is that our community are at the point where we can strongly support and completely lead the development of our own programs and services. Not only does this lead to more disabled people being employed, but it ensures that priority areas are being addressed first, and that there is strong community consultation, and that new ways of doing things are explored, as is inevitable when people with a different perspective of the world are the ones doing the developing. Thank you.
Wow. I'll turn the video back on now and see, so
Cool.
you can see people. And
I
I'll
hope that
be
didn't cut out too much.
No, that was fantastic, Tim. Has anyone got any comments or questions? We're just about out of time, so we'll keep this fairly brief. Anyone want to ask? Andrew's got something to say to you. Andrew Hall.
Tim, because you've got so much time on your hands, I wonder if you're going to stand for council again.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I don't have much time on my hands anymore, and that's probably why I won't run for council. But yeah, I've been able to kind of advance some of the policy ideas I had with. It's pretty awkward being watched all the time.
I saw we've got someone here from Callaghan Innovation taking lots of notes.
Okay.
So you might get an email from him at some point in the future.
Cool. I got a couple of thousand from Callaghan Innovation for the startup grant for my game. So thanks for that.
Okay, well, we might leave it there, Tim. Look, there's so much we could unpack with your work, and there's I'm sure if anyone wants to be in contact with Tim, you'd be happy for us to pass on your email address? Is that okay?
Yep, sure. That sounds good.
It's gone. Cool. Well, a huge thank you to everyone for coming today. Thank you to Catherine. Thank you to Tim for sharing your perspectives. It's an absolute privilege to be able to allow people the space to share what they're learning, so we can learn from each other. But what I really love is the fact that we can connect. Different people can gather ideas about what other people are doing in the space, and then we can chat to each other, and then we can elevate the discussions, but also the mahi that happens. So please take these opportunities to get to know other people, where they're working and how we can work together, because that's how change will happen. So thank you very much for coming today. There's a little bit of cake left by the look of it, so make the most of that.